70-64. The Johnnies beat Marquette. It's a grinder of a game. It's a rock fight of a game. Wasn't the prettiest thing. But CJ Moore, there's 17,000 people at Madison Square Garden on a Tuesday night for a St. John's game. Rick Pitino has this team at 20-3 on the year. Their 3 losses have come by a combined 5 points. That's fewest in college basketball. What I saw tonight was electric and just a team that outwills you in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
What's your reaction? And did you think they'd be 20-3?
I mean, I thought they'd be good. I don't know that anybody foresaw 20-3. You said it. They just wear you out. Like defensively, there is not a weak link. It doesn't feel like it is so hard to score against those guys. And there was a possession really late in the game where Marquette really needed a bucket, and they were scrambling all over the place. Richmond ends up blocking it at the shot clock buzzer, and they're just relentless on the defensive end. And they're old. They've got length. Those guys are so physical. They're hard to score against. I know they struggle offensively at times, but they're also Kadari Richmond is such a hard guard because he's just such a kind of a different player in that he can kill you in the mid range. He seems to be able to get to the bucket whenever he wants. He just they got that herky jerky game that is difficult to deal with, and I think they're getting better by the game. Like, not only do they have the record they have, but they seem to be getting better by the game as they gain confidence. So yeah, it's a special team that I think is entering kind of that upper echelon of college basketball, and we probably have to change the conversation with them as far as how we talk about them.
All right, John, give me your take.
I'm a defensive guy, so I love what I'm seeing out there. They've only allowed one team to score over a point per possession this whole season. That was Villanova. They hit 10 threes. And you almost have to look at them like, if they just hit a few threes or they can get the 3-ball going, this is really going to be tough to beat them. They've won 5 games, almost 6 tonight, shooting under 40%. So this is, the best defensive team by far in the Big East, and that is why they're sitting at 11-1, 20-3, and there's no other way around it. Kadari Richmond hit some timely, tough buckets, and they could have been called fouls. Like, that's how physical he was when he made those shots. So, Rick Pitino is a Hall of Famer. He's a legend, as we all know. So he's got St. John's rocking. Madison Square Garden is rocking like back when I was in college, right? Like, national TV game on a Tuesday night. I love what's going on up there in Queens.
Kadari Richmond.
I don't remember this kind of hype.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't remember this kind of hype since like the Felipe Lopez got to school days, right? I don't think St. John's has been like that hot a name since like that was going on. And man, what year was that? Was like late 90s, something like that. I mean, It's been a minute.
Yeah. Right. Well, you think about it. They haven't won a Big East regular season crown. For as identifiable of a brand that they are with the Big East, they haven't won the conference since 1992. And you get chills when you say it because that was Lou Carnesecca's last year. And, I know that we could talk all day about and we're going to get into how they play. But I can't help but think back in 21, the year that John Thompson died, Georgetown won the Big East tournament. It was amazing. It was out of nowhere. Patrick Ewing had a really tough go, but you just felt like it was just magical. This feels magical because it is. They are finding ways to win games for a program that has found a lot of ways to lose over the last quarter century, that has missed on certain hires, that has had the brand, but then you walk into the restaurant and you're like, the food doesn't taste like it used to. It's getting to be that identity again. They play like a New York basketball team. It's not pretty. It's all gritty. They get up in you defensively from the tip. Kadari Richmond, he developed the nickname Cooks on the Brooklyn courts. He's New York through and through. Tonight, 18, 11, 8 assists. Double-doubles from R.J. Lewis and Zuby Ejiofor. Ejiofor 13 and 13. His rise is amazing. They out-rebounded Marquette 50-28. But CJ, I want to hit you on this because you cover so many stories nationally, and I'm sure this is going to get written. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not just saying this because you're on the show with me tonight. I think you're as great of a storyteller in this sport that we have. For you, Rick Pitino, at the age of 72, the man has had multiple lives, right? And he's had so many different chapters. He's had so many different chapters in his career. What would you say about the uniqueness of this? That here he's able to kind of write he's able to have the last word, whatever that word is. I think he's got several more years left in him. I really do believe that. But like, where's this sit for you nationally? What kind of a story is this of Pitino doing it in his native New York City?
Well, I just think it's he's 72. That's the age when these coaches start to decline. Like you go back through and look at almost all of them. It happens earlier than 72 usually. The game passes them by. Look at what's happening to John Calipari. There's Boeheim at the end. I grew up with Roy Williams basketball. I know, John, I know you love, I'm sure you love Roy, but even Roy, like at the end, I think he got out right at the right time. And the fact that Pitino just continues to win and win and win, it's incredible. And I mean, he always gets his teams to guard. Let me throw one stat at you. I had this in my top 25 a couple weeks ago. At the time, they were allowing 89.1 points per 100 possessions in league play. The best mark since the Big East reformed was 2016 Villanova national title team 95-3. Let me give you that updated stat. Tonight, now they're at 87-3, and they just played the second best team in the Big East. So it's incredible what he's been able to do on the defensive end. He has reinvented himself over and over again. He's arguably the best college basketball coach. Maybe, obviously there's Wood and there's other guys up there, but what he's been able to do at so many different stops and continue to win and win and win. I mean, he's up there with one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I agree. You have to adapt or die, evolve or die. That's like just how it works in this game. That's how it works in life. So, it's so crazy all the Louisville stuff happens. I mean, fast forward 12 months later and nothing would have came out of that. He'd still be there, right? So it's great to see him back to where he was. And, I think in college basketball, man, like with the NIL, I mean, it's a wild, wild west. There's really no rules right now. So you got to have a little bit of that sketchiness and be able to wheel and deal and be in multiple types of rooms with multiple people from different backgrounds. And I think Rick Pitino is an all-time great at that, right? Like, look at the team he's put together. Just a team that fits the city. So for St. John's to be here, I'm not surprised at all. I said come hell or high water, Rick Pitino's going to have them back on top. Didn't think it would be this fast, but credit to him for, like CJ said, evolving and adapting and molding to this new game and this new era of college basketball and thriving.
What's so funny? What's so funny is, like, back in the day when the 3-point shot first became a thing, like Rick was the early adopter of the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Like he won with threes, and now they don't. Like now he doesn't have any shooters, and they're winning basically everything inside the arc. Like it's funny to see. There's so many different ways to win in basketball, and he is so good at adapting around his team, and that shows you right there. Like he, in another era, he was playing a totally different game. And now, like, he's not playing the modern game necessarily. They are defensively because they're so switchable. But like they're doing this without even shooting threes. It's pretty wild.